Are you having problems in the bedroom? Are you having problems with your sex life? Well, I know just who to talk to, and that's Lori. CoachingByLori.com is where you could set up voice, video, or text sessions to talk about sex, to talk about intimacy, kinks, fetishes, taboos, fantasies, or your sexuality. You could talk about coming out and what to expect when you come out. Lori is a sex therapist and talks about your sexual health. Lori's offering all new clients 20% off their first session with the coupon code WELCOME. That's coaching by Lori, LORIE.com. Coupon code WELCOME, WELCOME, for 20% off your first session. Ladies and gentlemen, Suds and Squirts Social Media is an official affiliate of the WWE Shop. Whether you want merchandise from the original Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, or the Hall of Famers, the New World Order, or from WrestleMania itself, scan the QR code on the screen or go to suds-media.com/wrestling merch, and it gives us a commission to help our show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dockside at the Bay. I am Vinny. This is Kim. As always, we are back to talk all about Dockside, or talk about the Bay, Emmy Award-winning the Bay.
No, we're just going to talk about us.
Yeah, exactly. We can just talk about us, which is fine. But we're here to talk about the Emmy Award-winning web series, web soap, The Bay, which we are on season 5, episode number 4, and fantastic episode as always.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely leaves us on a little bit of less of a cliffhanger than previous, but still a cliffhanger. All the same,
Yes.
You just want to dive in and figure out what the heck's going on. So
exactly. I also do want to let everybody know that the brackets for the 2025 Soap Stars March Madness tournament have been drawn and have been finalized. They are up on our Twitter X page, Blue Sky, Facebook. The actual tournament matches start this coming Thursday, and there are two ways you can vote this year. Obviously, on Twitter polls, they're going to be 2-day polls. They're going to be Twitter X polls, and also on pettyprattle.com. So you can go to either one and vote, and we'll tally everything up. The first rounds are going to be Thursday and Friday. Second rounds will be Saturday and Sunday. Then we go to next Thursday and Friday to do the third rounds, and next Saturday and Sunday for the fourth rounds. And then we get to the final 4 and championship. Those will each be 1 week, 7-day polls, and we'll have our champion. So it's going to be fun.
I have to say, I'm excited to see Sarah, our girl, made it to. She's in the running in the brackets, and we got some newer folks from the Bay though that were selected.
Yes.
So it's a good mix, I think.
So if you missed the selection show, it was last night as we're taping Monday, the 17th of March. Go check it out on our YouTube page or Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. But they are up in the archives. Monday, March 17th episode of Suds News. Kim, Angela, and I broke down all the selections as they came through, and talked a little bit about GH as well. So go check that out. Kim, how are you today?
Doing pretty well. For just typical Tuesday night. Actually just kind of went back and did my rewatch not too long ago. Actually, I was kind of on the train ride home. I was streaming it through my Tubi app.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. No, I have to say, that's, I don't know, that tends to be the platform that I'm drawn to when it comes to doing my rewatch. I know it's available Peacock elsewhere, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that app has the least annoying ads, maybe.
Well, I paid for ad-free on Peacock and Amazon, so I can do either one. I hate ads. I know they're first world problems, but I hate ads.
Yeah. When they get repetitive like that, it just gets old. But anyways,
no.
But it was nice. The train ride was a little bit delayed, so I had a chance to just, escape and watch the Bay and rewatch this episode and get all caught up in that, which was fun. But
So
yeah, definitely
yeah,
jam packed.
it was. It was a great episode, and actually, it answered some of the questions we had from previous episodes.
Hmm.
Um, as we're going through, we'll let everybody know about those. But the
Yep.
first, we kind of pick up where we left off last week with the car ride. We
Yep.
find Andrea picking up Sarah, who's lost in the woods, and Gray just happens to turn into a dirt road somewhere in the woods to find her, and
Yeah,
you know, it,
just very convenient, but Sarah needed a save there. She needed a win, and Dre comes riding into the rescue. And
yep,
she's still got that freaky pendant thing going that she
yes.
says a couple of times that she's drawn to it, which, like, honey, I'm really questioning your taste in jewelry. I'm sorry. It's like I would not be drawn to a pendant that has like twin skulls on it. I know there's reasoning behind it. I know, going forward, but it's just not the most attractive piece of jewelry to be that drawn to keep on saying that you're drawn to it. Like, I
Yeah,
question that taste. But yeah, and she even says like it was important to Steve. And I'd be, if I was Dre and I was like hearing that, I'd be like, you just told me this guy was a psycho, and now you're wearing his necklace around your neck. Like, what?
exactly.
I'd be a little skeptical. Like, should I have let you get into the car? Is everything cool? like, but no. Dre goes on to kind of talk about her mother having like a jewelry place, but it carries like relics, and this woman's kind of like an oracle and has antiques and things like that, and it's kind of connecting to the whole like Sophia psychic thing. They're tapping
Yeah,
into that element, like the supernatural sort of stuff a little bit more this season, which I've noticed.
yeah. We'll definitely. I'm definitely amped up for just how it's going. This episode was really good.
Hmm.
Because what's funny is, first of all, I understand the concept of batteries on your cell phone dying, but they hear a sound, and Dre's like, "Oh, that's our, that's the GPS." So Sarah picks up the phone, is dead. How did it make a sound if it was dead? That
Yeah, yeah. Again,
then
suspending some disbelief,
yeah,
they, but it's just, yeah, it's little things like that. They do kind of just like, they check in your brain and you're just like, really? Like, wait, like, but convenience for the
yeah,
sake of the plot,
that
got to push things
and
forward.
um, then they look for the cord, and Dre's like, "Oh, damn, my daughter has it. She took it out of the car." Well,
Yeah.
understandable. Teenagers are all about their phone. I get that. I don't have a problem with that. But either way, they kind of just, Dre's like, "Oh, we'll stop at the next rest area." How far away were they? I guess they were
Right.
on the outskirts of LA, because
I
that's where
just,
the hotel was. But it would
and
have been nice
I
to have
don't
a
know
little bit.
LA that well. I've been there a handful of times, but going from downtown into like this woodsy sort of, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of all over the place,
Yeah,
and it
I
just
would love
kind
to
of
see it. I would love to see a kind of a geographical map of Bay City to see
right.
where in California it is.
We should push for that. Someone, I've seen it where like people like draw out like apartments for like, they sketch out like the floor plan for like the apartment from the Friends series, or like things like that. It's like we should get one, little map of
Hmm.
Bay City for us, for the fans that are kind of curious how everything's
Oh
all
yeah,
situated out.
but either way, Dre suggests stopping the next rest area, and Sarah's like, "No, he could be following us." Like,
Yeah.
she's that paranoid, and she's like, "He's unhinged."
Yeah, and that's a worthy description. I mean, he just keeps on living up to the unhinged label, as
Yeah.
seen with the scenes with Tamra, you know, and his
Mhm.
just going around saying TikTok over and over again, which cracks me up because it's just like I associate that with the app. It's like, no, I know he's not talking about the app, but he just keeps on saying TikTok over and over again, and I'm just like, now then I start thinking of like Steve Jensen having a TikTok channel. Oh my God.
That would be a
That would
great
just be
crossover.
just disturbing on every possible level. But
Could you imagine Matthew Ashford doing that for a week? Just a week in the life of Steve Jensen.
oh my God, just
That
the
would
way
break
that
TikTok.
oh, it absolutely would. It absolutely would. I mean, it's just he just it never. I mean, you got it where like obviously Sarah's escaped, but he doesn't even seem that phased by it. He's just like, well, that's my girl. It's like, dude,
Yeah,
like she just like totally like got away from you from climbing through an air vent, and you're just like, oh well, hey, kudos to her.
yeah,
She's a clever one, but it cracked me up there. And then maybe you have it where his goon shows up and he's just like, you got to go, man, like look at this, look at the news, they're bringing you in on all of this, like have you watched the news? I love it. I don't watch the news. It's like, well, maybe you should, bud, because you're like the breaking news headline right now.
yes,
But it's just that whole scene was just kind of, that struck me as funny. And like, the goon is trying to be all like, get on the charter plane, and can't bring Sarah and all of this stuff. And then he's like, well, the wind is changing and special deliveries arrived. And without even like thinking twice, you realize that it's
yeah,
it's Ninja Tamra. Tamra's
yeah.
still in ninja mode. And
But but see, here's the
yeah.
thing. When we last saw Tamara in ninja mode, she was breaking into a house, and we had thought that it was Steve Jensen's. It turns out it
Yeah.
was John Blackwell's,
Mhm.
and that's where
Which
she
he
got.
has a very nice loft, which doesn't
Yeah,
surprise me because he's international man of mystery, but he's got a very nice little setup there.
he
He
does.
walks in, and I heard the dog. There, that's weird. It's like, does he have a dog? There was a dog barking in the background, and I don't know if that
I
was
didn't
like,
catch that.
yeah, no, it showed up on my subtitles. It said
Oh,
dog
really?
barking. Yeah, and I could hear it too. And I was just like, oh, does John Blackwell have a dog? And then they never showed it. But I was just thinking that would be an interesting kind of, comes
Yeah,
home, pours himself a drink, and then immediately checks the safe, which
yeah.
I guess that's just what you do when you've got a safe that potentially has, really important stuff in it. But
I
goes
think
home,
so.
checks the safe, and comes to realize that, yeah, Ninja Tamra was in action because he
Hmm.
sees it from the social or the
The
security
camera.
cam.
Yep.
That's because of course he's got that. It's like, come on, Tamara, like you're all in ninja mode. You wouldn't you're breaking into a spy slash
Yeah.
former district attorney slash lawyer's house. What the hell are you going to expect? Of course he's going to have cameras everywhere. But we had it so like just yeah, she breaks in there, and then she's on her way, properly, presents Steve with the folder and the flash drive, which that was, yeah, like just a giant kind of flash
Yeah.
drive that she was holding.
Well, it was an external hard drive. That's
External
basically.
hard, yeah, something.
Yeah.
Either way, storing some stuff. And Steve's all like, well,
And then the files. Yep.
yeah, is it all the originals and everything? And then he's all, give me your hand. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
See,
Are you
at
gonna like?
first I thought, okay, he's using it to put her fingerprints on it, but she was holding it anyways without gloves on,
Right,
so
right,
her fingerprints
exactly.
are on it. But then he
Yeah.
takes the utility knife and just puts her like, why? But
It
then
was
you
so weird. And just,
very
don't be afraid of blood. You almost think like, what, is he going to cut her finger off because she like,
like,
went
yeah.
against him? Like, are we embracing mob tactics now, Steve? Like, what are we doing? Like, it just, but then he just does like the weird, between her fingers just to freak her out. He looks completely deranged in the scene too
Oh, he
while he's
does.
doing that. It's creepy as heck. And then afterwards, his line like, "Well, it was good for me. Was it good for you?" I'm like, "Oh my god, just stop
Well,
it!"
amazingly, it's like we could see the progression and descent into madness over the course of the series for Steve
Yes,
Jensen. Like at the beginning, he was just evil. At the beginning, he was just a villain, just a
he was
dark.
just a cunning bastard,
Yeah.
just like one of those, yeah, but like, he's clever, and feels like he's the smartest person in the room, and he's a step ahead of everybody else. Mr. Like, I'm gonna blow up a shack, and then I'm gonna sit and
Yep.
sip a martini and like revel in that, like all. And now he just looks straight up psychotic. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it just,
I
between
mean,
the
what
muttering
is
and the
his
TikTok thing and just
what is his
everything.
motivation? Is it the money from the Garretts? Is it like I don't know.
He's just descended into madness. It's like one
Yeah.
of those, like, almost like he's so obsessed with just with Sarah, with money, with maintaining his power and his like kind of situation with her, keeping the status quo intact. And he's realizing that like, okay, she just got away. So I guess I'm gonna like take out my crazy by, freaking out this
Yep.
woman by like, threatening like, a knife right by her hand. and just
Yeah.
being weird. It's
Very.
just, and then he's all like, you may have just bought me some time by, like, because he shows the shredded, images, the shredded photos, and
Yep.
then he brings up the name Hazel again, which I'm assuming
Yep.
must have been like, her porn name or
That's what
something
I'm
like that,
thinking.
or stripper name,
Yep.
which, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a weird name because growing up, I had a cat named Hazel. So that's kind of, but still, like, nah, it's just weird scenes all around, weird, disturbing. I mean, very well acted, but just like,
Because
just let
when we first met Tamra in at the very end of Bay, the beginning, she was obviously in a shady part of neighborhood of
right, yeah.
I don't think they ever allude to the name Hazel at all.
I don't think so. I think
I
that
don't
that's
think
a
so either.
more recent development. I don't
Yeah.
remember, like, because, like, she went through that whole, like, she came out to defend Pete
Yep.
from Orchid, and that other guy kind of stepped in like Wonder Woman, all like, I know who these people are, but you need to get out of here. And she was very,
Yep.
like, savvy, early ninja Tam.
Yeah.
But with that, I mean, nobody was calling her Hazel. Orchid wasn't like calling her like, different nicknames or anything like that. Not that I don't think that ever came up. So, but
We're gonna do a
regardless.
new shirt. We're gonna do a new shirt. Ninja Tamra. Well,
Yeah, I'd buy it.
by the way, folks, brand new Suds and Squared Circle Media coffee mug. The new logo is on merchandise now. Go to sudsmedia.threadless.com and get your merch. I'm going to be doing a
Very
lot of
excited.
stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on the merchandise page over the next few days, kind of making sure that everything is available. And we did update it. So if you're using Suds Square Circle at threadless.com, it is no longer that. It is now just sudsmedia.threadless.com for our merchandise page. And I will be making sure that everything is available with the correct size images and everything. So definitely go ahead and take a look over there and buy our merch. It helps us support the show. And I'm gonna start putting out more merchandise that's going to be, based off of stuff we say or do on our shows. The logos will all be there. If you just want to buy the logos, whether it's Dockside at the Bay, Take Me Down to Studio City, Suds and Squared Circle Media, you can go ahead and buy all those logos and on whatever merchandise you want. But I am going to do some specialized stuff. I think I'm going to do a Congressman Quarter Cane shirt based off of Drew Quartermain's, who is not a real Quartermain, and his original last name was Kane, so Drew Quarter Cane or Congressman Quarter Cane. Something to that effect. We'll do a Ninja Tamara shirt. So stay tuned because we're going to be doing some new stuff over at our Threadless shop, which is sudsmedia.threadless.com. Moving on.
Yeah. No, I mean, we had that whole kind of creepy sequence with Jensen, at our fun little Boulevard hotel, which we keep on seeing
Mm-hmm.
thrown back to. But we did have it where, everyone's just curious about Jensen. His name is just coming up, in almost every scene. You got Lex and you got Pete, just very
Yeah.
obviously concerned with tracking him down. I lost track of how many times they said, like, put on an APB on him, all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
And I love how Evan kept trying to block it. Like, do you have
Right.
anything on him? Yeah, we got a shit ton of stuff on him. Well, where's all the evidence? Oh, well, Adam said something before he passed out. Adam was found knocked out. No, beforehand, he was blubbering it out. And, Lex is like, Pete, he's, back me up on it. Yeah, he's right. Like,
yeah. Like,
and then I love
smart
how
money
Pete
will
said,
tell me. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I love how Pete asks Evan, like, do you believe Pete took my mother? Yeah, I think he had something to do. Then why the fuck are you stalling? Like, that's
the look that Pete gives him there, and just like, there's nothing else to understand. Like,
right.
you've got my mother. Like, get that through your head. and yeah, like it's just kind of an odd sort of, it's like, come on, Evan, you've been on like this road since, you were in Belgium, with
Yeah.
Tam, doing the whole like, you know what's going on here. You know that Jensen's garbage. Like, just
Yeah.
get with the program, man, and like, help find. It's not as if unless he's still carrying a grudge because he couldn't prosecute her.
Yeah.
Just something like that. But his delivery, I just Brandon Beamer just turn it. I need a fucking drink, like kind of like father, like son in that
Oh
moment.
yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
got like John Blackwell
I
as soon as he
understand.
walks in his door, pouring himself some vodka or whatever it was. It's like,
I
yep,
can understand him wanting to be um, by the book because you want your DA to be
right,
by the book, but at the same
right.
time,
Like,
this
yeah,
guy
read
has
the
done
room,
so much stuff.
understand.
Yeah.
But it's
So
kind of funny because in the whole search for Sarah thing, we did have those scenes at the estate with Melody. And she brings up a point that we kind of brought up before where it's just like, why isn't everyone, like all the officers out there looking for her right now? And it's like, we
right.
thought the exact same thing. Because it's like, you had it where, like, you got Pete and you got Lex and they got the bat and they got like their little,
Yeah.
like army of two. But it's just like, why isn't the whole freaking police force out there searching for like Queen of the City, Sarah?
Yeah.
Who like is the commissioner is like involved with, like, come on. And for Melody to just bring that up, just it cracked me up because we had the exact same moment. Like, you'd think the entire police force would be tracking her down. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we thought
Exactly.
that too,
Well, I
Melody.
mean, but see, here's the thing, and I would love to find out how much time elapsed because really, it seems like between season 4 and well, let's say the end of season 3 to season 5, where we are now,
Hmm.
it feels like it was maybe 3 weeks, but then it's like when you're watching the news reports on the screen, it makes it
Mm.
seem like she's been missing for months. So I don't know. I would
Yeah,
love to know what that
yeah.
time frame is.
I mean, you don't have like vigils, for folks, like, the whole like thing with like, is she still with us, you father? Like,
Right? Yeah.
that whole bit. Yeah, it's kind of the time frame. It's a little murky in that sense. It's a little
Yep.
kind of, but, and for what it's worth, though, when because kind of cut to, everyone kind of freaking out at the mansion about Sarah at the,
Yep.
everyone's freaking out at the estate, and then like as soon as like what if she just walks in the door, and then she just walks in the
Well,
door, and
I, I
it's.
I love that family scene at
I
the
did
end, like
too.
we're just talking about, and it's like I love how they're just worried about Melody. Like she hasn't gone to sleep, it seems, in days, and
Yeah. Oh,
they're
yeah. And
trying.
they kept on
And I
saying, you're
love
going to make
RJ
yourself
saying,
sick.
"Oh, we'll just all camp down here. We'll get Vitality to bring
I
down like
loved
the
that
blankets and
moment too.
pillows." And
It's like, that's so little kid like. It's like, I
yeah,
appreciate the fact that, like, yeah, okay, RJ's big and grown now, but he's still like a little kid at heart in that sense. And
I mean,
that struck me as,
theoretically, age-wise, he's maybe 7.
yeah,
So
yeah, 7-year-old, kid trapped in a, 20
yeah,
something
giant
year
body.
old body. But
Yeah,
no, that was just such a sweet little moment. And then, they're all just trying to like calm her down, settle her down. And then Pete just says, keep the faith. But then, Sarah, like, walks in right behind. And, you know, okay, missing, we don't really know the exact scope of time that but for crying
yeah.
out loud, she looks pretty good, all things considered.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. That's what
Like,
happens when you're on TV.
like, come on, hair is a little disheveled, and to be fair, she sounds tired and everything like that. But damn, you've been
Well, I
walking
mean,
around the woods, drugged,
yeah,
climbed through an air vent
yeah.
in a car with a stranger. Just hi. So it's like, okay, what you come in looking like looking great.
Well, yeah. That's what happens when you're Sarah
Yeah,
Garrett. You know.
yeah, yeah. Not a hair out of place. Just, hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, exactly. Um. All right.
But
So,
really sweet scenes though, regardless. And
oh yeah,
all like the hugs and
fantastic.
everything like that. It was just and Christos even like, you look and he's just like with tears and everything like that. It's just, you get all choked up. It was a very
But
sweet
then
reunion
poor
moment.
Pete, he's all excited because his mama came home. Then he goes
Yeah.
home to see his wife, and
And
he
he's all
finds
excited
out.
to tell her too. He's walking
Yeah,
in the door. My mom's home. My mom's home. Viv, where are you? Where are you? And then
yeah,
we see the note, and we see Moby too. And even Moby
yep.
looks like just so like comes up and just kind of saddles himself next to him and just kind of because dogs know they pick up on stuff, and it's just Pete, you cannot catch a break. Poor man.
What the hell? Oh, Jesus, Christmas. Sorry, I happened to look at my phone and I see my family group message blowing up, and
Oh dear.
no, my
Hopefully it's
sister.
not as dramatic as Bay stuff.
Well, my wife shared a news story about a driver going 119 miles per hour on the interstate here in Connecticut, and
Oh dear.
just yeah, and we were just talking to my son about speeding because the Life 360 app said he's been driving like
Mm.
90 miles an hour and stuff. So,
Oh, oh boy.
um, but yeah, so I just looked at that and I was like, so just out of full transparency, I've been on edge over the past couple of days because my father is on life support, and tomorrow, the decision's been made to take him off life support. So I'm keeping my eye on family stuff,
Yeah,
for that. So
of course.
just for full transparency, folks, um, that's kind of what I've been dealing with over the past couple of days. So, um, yeah, and I'm not going to go into much more than that, but that's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, uh, moving on. Um, I shouldn't look at my phone while I don't even know what made me look at the phone. But all right. Moving on. Yeah, we saw Moby in the closet. He was just kind of hiding there, and you just saw his hind
Yeah.
legs. It was so sad. Like,
I know.
How long was he by himself?
I know. Poor doggo. I mean, he just kind of, shuffles out of there and, sees dad and he's all like, oh, hey, dad. But, it's just Pete, the poor guy picks up this letter. And, I like did like, I was trying to do like a pause, but it was tough to do on my
Yeah,
phone because I was watching it off my phone to see exactly what the letter said. I mean, it's
I
pretty
was.
brief.
Yeah, I was trying to do that myself, and I was watching on the TV, and I didn't pause it quick enough.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's just kind of the just general gist is like I needed to go, but it's like
yeah,
needed to go where? What's your deal, honey? Because the last time we had seen Viv was as soon as Pete got back from Belgium, basically
yep,
on like his two-man mission with Lex to go like track down Sarah. And,
yep,
she just kind of sits up in bed and gives him this look like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And then that's like, then cut to this episode where, she just leaves him a note. And it's
yep.
just kind of like, and it's just, it felt kind of abrupt and a little out of the blue. Just like, what did Pete do? But it's more like, like her saying like, I just needed to go. I needed to get away.
All right, so here's what it says: is Pete, I'm sorry, but I needed to go. For me, please know that I truly love you and always will. This just feels like the right thing to do for both of us. I will call you when I've had some time alone to think. Love,
Yeah.
Vivian. So
Yeah. Which again, kind of vague. It's like, did we miss
yeah,
something?
very very vague, and I'm wondering. I'm almost wondering if she's feeling like left out because he's been spending so much time trying to find his mother. He's not a
But
cop.
she's, yeah.
Yeah,
He is kind of, you wouldn't know it based on the way
right.
that Lexa straight up
Exactly.
like recruited him. But,
Yeah.
but to be fair, Vivian was like, modeling, where was it? Like New
New
York or
York.
something like
Yeah.
that. And, it's like, so she's been away and everything like that too. But I guess maybe she kind of thought that like, oh yeah, I get back and we'll be able to. but it has kind of been like, one kind of big dramatic sort of thing after another, which I could get. A girl needs a break from that kind of stuff, but I don't know. It's just you kind of it's just you think of like their like wedding, and you think of all like how everything kind of was pre,
Yeah.
everything happening with and it's just not the first one, the second incarnation of the wedding with
Right.
the
Yeah.
preacher that was the cool preacher and all of that.
Yeah.
Just yeah, it just it struck me back when I originally watched, and even when I was doing my rewatch, it struck me as just abrupt again. Like
Yeah.
and
Because it's like, first of all, he doesn't work. He doesn't have a job to go to, so he could take all this time to go world traveling to try to find his mother who was kidnapped.
right.
You know, but again, it's like, thinking about it, you're right. Vivian is a model. She's going around on modeling shoots and stuff, and
Yeah, it's not like
you
she's
know,
just like a stay at home, with the dog, just,
right.
where are you, Pete? What's going on? It's like she's got a career of her own, and she's got a life of her own. And,
Mm-hmm.
it was, but I guess it's just too much drama when she got back to kind of be faced with, and just needed to kind of, but the way that Zoe left it, when we get the tail end of the episode with Zoe, her saying like, oh, well, she went through with it. And then it's just like, went through with what? She left,
Yeah.
but like, why did she go through with it? It's just
I
it's
mean, I'm
ambiguous
kind
and
of
kind
wondering
of
if it was just kind of that's, the sisters have been talking, and she's been
yeah,
saying, "Oh, I'm frustrated. Pete's always off doing X, Y, or
right,
Z. He's
right.
not spending
But
any
it did
time with
kind of
me."
happen, and maybe it was just because the actress who plays Viv, forgive me, I'm blanking on her name, but maybe just scheduling conflict.
Caruche,
Yes, yes.
something like that.
I
Yeah.
mean, because we get the same kind of. It's funny the way that Lex even explains Tobin's absence to Sarah. It's kind of,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he took off. Case in New York.
Yeah.
So obviously, the actors couldn't maybe be present for a certain number of episodes when they were filming, and maybe that that
Mm-hmm.
factors in because with the way that the filming schedule, everything like that. So it's probably the root cause. But it's just funny hearing like the kind of or seeing that explanation, and Lex just kind of being like, "Yep, he split."
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that whole sequence too with Lex and Sarah just kind of she comes down the stairs wearing it's like finally she had a girl could change her clothes.
Yeah. Take a
I feel
shower,
like
change your
probably like Mary
clothes.
Beth Evans was probably kind of tired of wearing that same like
Yeah.
the blue white shirt. It's like finally I can put on something like pretty again. But yeah, now she comes down still wearing that freaky pendant, and Lex calls her on it too. He's just like, so where's the necklace from? Why are you wearing it?
Yeah.
Like and it's just yeah, but their chemistry is cute, and his just being
It
like
is.
impressed by the fact that she managed to escape, because managed to get through the whole the air vent thing. I mean, that is pretty impressive.
Oh
You
yeah.
should be impressed by that. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, he even and then you still got Sarah though concerned about Adam, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
because he's still my son, and Tobin being here. It's funny too. She references Tobin like abandoning the boys. It's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, that's basically what he's, yeah. Like, it's the second time he's done that, all of this. It's just, that's still, the whole Tobin thing is still kind of murky hanging out there as well,
Yeah.
exactly
It
all the
really
details
is.
that went down with that. And I know that like gaps get filled in and things like that down the road, but it's still just like, it is kind of,
Well, I mean, that was because I'm assuming that was because of the actor and what happened with the daytime Emmys. Same thing that happened to Patricia Darbo.
yeah.
Um, so I'm wondering if that's what happened, and he stuck it out for as long as he could, but then said "F this" and I'm out, and that's how they had to just rewrite it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's just kind of so. But Tobin's gone. He's kind of split again right when Sarah says she needs him because he was going to help with Brian's case, and we get a
Yep.
Brian name drop.
Yeah.
Because I tend to forget about Brian. Because
Well,
like
because he's not. He has nothing to do with the series right now. Like
yeah,
he
yeah.
was
Until like
so
he's
prevalent
brought
in the
in by
beginning.
name, I always kind of forget that like yeah, oh yeah, he's still rotting in prison.
Yeah. And it's like, but what bugs me is they've made mention knowing that he didn't do what happened. Like they
Right.
found out that Steve was the one that set off the bomb. Why is Brian still in prison?
Because they can't get a lawyer in town long enough to get him out.
Or they just don't have an actor, and the actor couldn't come in and play Brian anymore.
I guess, that could be it too. I don't know. It's just kind of, but, at least there is that sense of just general, like, we still keep tabs on these characters, even though they may be off canvas for various reasons, what have you. It's like, we're still like, it's not as if they just like, walk up to the attic one day and never come back down. It's like, we
no, that's only on Days of Our Lives.
And actually, that was an All My Children reference. Actually, they had one character go up to. It was a running joke on this, but anytime a character would just kind of, they wouldn't make mention of them again, or you wouldn't see them. They'd say, "Oh, he went up to the attic and he's hanging out with Bobby," because there's this little character. He was in the Martin family. His name was Bobby, and he went up the stairs to get a pair of skis, and the kid never came back down the stairs. You never see him again.
Well,
so everyone would say he's actually in the attic with Bobby.
it was actually an All My Children reference on General Hospital yesterday.
I saw that, the Will Cortland thing. And I mentioned that to my mother, and she cracked up. She hasn't watched GH. She's been tapped out of it for a while, but I was just like, yeah, this guy, he used to play Will, and I was just like, oh, I remember Will. He was so handsome, but he was a bad guy. But yeah, that's a fun little soapy Easter egg. I do appreciate that, and even on the Bay, there's still like you get the little. So, I mean, Bay City is named after what? Another World? Isn't that the name of it? I want to say that like that's referencing or directly referencing like Another World or some other soap. Which I love that they all just kind of it shows the genre love. I appreciate that.
Well, kind of rounding out the final little bit of information from this scene.
We did
Daniel and Caleb.
Which I'm sorry, I still see him now. I see him as Smitty.
Yeah, right.
I can't help it. I can't help it. I know his name is Caleb, and he's a fully fudged character on the Bay, but I also saw him as Charlie on Days too. There's a lot going on with it. He's shown up on all my shows. So I just
that's the same thing with Tristan Rogers for me. Like he's either Robert Scorpio or Lex or or I can't remember his name from Studio City, but
yeah, no, it's just funny. But no, Caleb is they're talking about they went out and did their little drinking, bonding, hanging out thing, and talking about how they used to have curfews and everything. And then they walk past this club that's got a drag king sign, and Daniel's all, oh, you got to be kidding. And then Caleb's like, hey, let's go check it out.
So obviously Caleb doesn't know that Daniel has come out as gay. Is Caleb gay?
Well, Caleb had said in the when we got introduced to him that he broke it off with Betsy, with the girlfriend, because it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
So, at this point you could assume maybe he's bisexual.
Yeah.
But he hasn't officially said, but he's like, Daniel's like, dude, that's a gay bar, and he's like, so we should do everything at least once, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, you go, dude. And Daniel is along for the ride, but you can tell it just kind of throws him off his axis a little bit, just like, wait, you really want to?
Because he still feels like he can't be his authentic self with somebody that he knew from high school or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of almost expect Daniel to be almost like very resistant and being like, no. The fact that he does go in and makes you like, it's like, oh, good, yay, go embrace you. But
there was that comment last week where Daniel told Avery, just don't tell him that I'm gay, because we don't have that type of friendship or whatever.
Yeah. But clearly, Caleb's into trying everything once, and maybe it's the alcohol talking or what, but it's just like, he's willing to go and party and just kind of explore and do some stuff, and it's sweet to see Daniel just go with him versus just being like, because it could have gone the other way where he would just be like, nope, sorry, can't, I'm not, just still trying to stay in that sort of closeted, I'm not going to, tell you this side of myself kind of attitude. It was nice and kind of refreshing to see Daniel just kind of be like, yep, you know what, let's just do it. So.
Yep.
But yeah, I think
that's about it.
I think so too. I didn't really have any other notes. I mean, Ninja Tamara we talked about, and the Moby sighting, and the police, the 2-man police force.
Yeah.
Much to Melody's objection. Yeah. Yeah, I think we got through it. Oh, and it did kind of crack me up though too. It's like, when you have Sarah and Lex just kind of giggling and going up the stairs and they're all happy or whatever, and then you just cut to that creepy photo of Red Garrett on the stairs.
Yep.
Damn, they're just determined to show that at every opportunity, aren't they?
Well, it's funny because I was listening to 10th Floor podcast, also does Beyond the Gates show on their network. I think it's called Gates Unlocked or something like that. Check that out. They air live every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. I think something like that. Check their information. But they pointed out every soap opera has a, their main family has a portrait of somebody in their foyer, whether it's the Damaras or the Quartermains or the Garretts,
Yeah.
and even
it's
the
definitely a
Duprees.
soap trope. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, it's just, I don't know. It always just kind of.
My thing is, like, since Red Garrett was such an asshole, why does she keep it up there?
Right? Like, come on. This is a man that, like, just to completely, upended your entire, like, childhood / 20s. And yet, it just doesn't. It's like the pendant thing, too. It's like, Sarah, honey, come on. What the taste here? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I question your taste in artwork and jewelry.
Yes. Yep, exactly.
You look very pretty. You look very put together, but I question the jewelry and I question the big frame portrait right behind you. Like, come on, we gotta do better here.
Well, folks, that's about it for us. We kind of exhausted this. Next week we'll be back with season 5, episode 5. But I do again want to point out that starting this coming Thursday, which if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the RSS feed, that's today. It's going to be the start of our Soap Stars March Madness 2025. The brackets have been chosen. They are filled in. They are set and complete. And the first round tournaments in 2 of the brackets, which is the General Hospital and the half-hour show bracket, which includes the Bay, they are currently live on X Polls and at pettyprattle.com. And also, we will be back, like I said, next week. Stay tuned for anything. There's a lot of stuff on this channel. There's soaps, there's wrestling, there's interviews with wrestlers. There's just a lot going on this network. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and get notified because it's going to be fun. Kim, where can everybody find you?
So I can be reached on X / Twitter, Twix at Misfit8690, and my YouTube page is A Little Misfit 52. And we've been streaming some episodes, Dockside at the Bay, Gate Crashers, etc., on that channel. So feel free to check it out, and you can watch some of my fan edits that I've made on there. Or just heck, I don't know. It's a fun little side hobby of mine if you want to check some of those out. But yeah, that's where I'm most available for, just chatting about soaps or whatever.
Nice. All right. And of course, you can find me at Vinny Suds on Twix and Facebook, at Suds Media on Twix as well, and Blue Sky at Suds-Media is our YouTube page that you might be watching currently, and Suds-Media.com. You can also go now to sudsmedia.threadless.com for all of our merch. I am going to be reorganizing and making sure that everything is available in that store for everybody and coming up with new ideas for shirts and hats and anything else. Definitely we're going to be doing a Ninja Tamara shirt. I'm going to be doing a Congressman Quarter Cane shirt, and there's going to be a lot of good stuff up there. There is Diane, lady in the streets, freak in the sheets, shirt up there as well. Talking about Diane Miller, Sonny's attorney on General Hospital. But yeah, there's going to be more stuff. I'm going to be focusing on that as well going forward. Sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/Suds and Squared Circle. $5 a month gets you access, early and ad-free access to all of our pre-recorded episodes, whether it's Dockside of the Bay, Take Me Down to Studio City, Angela Answers Fan Mail, and so much more. You can also get our archives up there as well. And that's about it. So for Kim, I'm Vinny. We will be back next week as we see you dockside at the Bay. Have a great night,
Take
everybody.
care, everybody.